Welcome to the Sunday Painter. Today it's all about tonalism. By the end of the video, you will learn a new way of seeing. An eye for the moody and dramatic, adding to the theater of your art. Would you like to learn how to put feeling into your work? Creating work with creative excitement, with sensitivity, causes a reaction of beauty, balance and harmony in a painting. Years ago, I learned how to put atmosphere with tones and lost edges in my paintings, with a drama which took my art from technical flat feeling of cacophony to a symphony of color and movement. Who doesn't want that? We are going to explore many great tonalist works, so you can learn firsthand to capture that feeling for your paintings. I've created custom digital designs for teas and other items to support this channel, so I can keep bringing you art lessons that will expand your knowledge and improve your art. Bet yours and help out. The link is in the description below or the right-hand corner of the Sunday banner. Thanks for your support. During the video, I will introduce you to a master teacher that has many how-to painting videos on YouTube. He suggested to me to make this video on tonalism to share with his students. I've learned much from this master, and so will you. Here are some beautiful, inspiring artworks while I explain the underlying thoughts that make tonalism. Tonalism is a painting movement that is still popular today. Originally, it was derived from the French Barbizon movement, which emphasized atmosphere and shadow and harmonized nature with man. All this was done on location directly from nature. The tonalists did not like to be defined by any particular art movement. But, when pressed on this issue, the early tonalists most often used the term luminism to refer to their approach toward painting. Luminism refers to a type of painting that became most prominent in the 1850s and lasted into the 1870s, practiced among artists associated with the Hudson River School. The sense of movement or metamorphosis in nature, the vibration and refraction of tones. The artists did not identify themselves as luminists, as the term wasn't coined until 1954, when the art historian and director of the Whitney Museum of American Art, John I.H. Bohr defined luminist work as a polished and meticulous realism in which there is no sign of brushwork and no trace of impressionism, the atmospheric effects being achieved by infinitely careful gradations of tone, by the most exact study of the relative clarity of near and far objects, and by a precise rendering of the variations in texture and color produced by direct or reflected rays. Low-toned, softly edged atmospheric landscape painting resonated landscape painters that art does not render visible but makes visible. Mystery, dreams, memory, and imagination are often espoused in their haunting, broadly painted canvases of Dusk and Moonlight. Use of subtle color tones comprised of various greens, purples, blues, and grays that are harmonious and easy on the eye. The most obvious artistic strategy of the tonalists, as the name implies, was the use of a subtle range of similar color tones on the scale between red and blue and yellow to produce a sensation that is quiet, cool, and conducive to reverie. Aesthetic tonalism, with its emphasis on balanced design, subtle patterning, and a kind of otherworldly equipoise, came directly out of the aesthetic movement, an artistic philosophy of art for art's sake promoted by its greatest exponent. Low-toned, an exquisite landscape, subdued light of dusk exaggerates the bare-bones forms of the painting, and even into the cloud-streaked sky, where the diagonal grids are echoed ad infinitum. Balance and sensuous form make the work an eye-catching window into some super-sensible world. Stress on symbolic form, the tonalist use of a narrow range of tones, and the synthetic arrangement of landscape elements adds to the immediacy of the composition, strengthening the graphic cred of organic, geologic, and man-made features, and thus the symbolic impact of natural forms, whether in stark silhouette or set against a neutral background. Depiction of atmosphere, the tonalist's use of a predominant tonality had the collateral effect of creating a pronounced atmospheric quality in which the very air that infuses the landscape has a palpable density and optical resonance. Atmosphere was not just a transmitter of mood, but an energy field alive to the painter's touch. The visual sensation of metamorphic light energy in nature, by applying paint marks of similar tones in juxtaposition to one another, refraction, or layering brush marks over a complementary ground tone, with vibration, in which cool overtones are painted freshly into warm undertones, with the undertones allowed to break through to the surface of the canvas. The use of expressive paint handling to embody emotion or mimic the felt life of nature. What is noteworthy about the tonalists is how early expressive paint handling, creating a surface energy that both approximates nature's underlying forces while augmenting the inherent symbolic power of landscape forms, trees, rooflines, clouds, horizons, and the atmosphere that encloses them. Formal strategies of embedded patterns and the decorative deployment of natural and abstract forms, derived from Asian art, often in conjunction with serial renderings of the same subject in different lights and from various angles of perception. Soft-edged forms to further the sense of ambiguity and mystery of a place, known as lost edge technique in the 19th century. Artistic strategy is a tendency to ambiguity of form as opposed to a detailed graphic depiction, soft-edged forms as opposed to hard, and an emphasis on blurry atmospheric edges ultimately derived. Tonalism embraced the abstraction as a way of dramatizing the emotional impact of an artwork, prompted less by a progressive mantra than by a craftsman's logic to produce imagery that had immediate visceral impact. Tonalism's prime focus was landscape, especially depictions of the intimate near-at-home farmlands and rural places, often at dusk or dawn, that display the once-upon-a-time presence of human habitation, abandoned fields, tumbled fieldstone fences, old roads and second-growth forests. The portrayal of a mystical organic relationship between perceiver and the perceived. This spiritual dimension, inherent in tonalism, is mysterious, poetic, quiet, timeless, transcendent, intuiting the invisible or hidden, in muted colors. So, with all these new ideas, how do we add this to our work to get the tonalist feeling? Now I'm going to give you a list of concepts that you can use in your art. Even using some will give you work more feeling. This is just to give you something to think about. The use of subtle color tones comprised of various greens, purples, blues, and grays that are restful and easy on the eye. What we are striving is to paint muted tones to show the viewer a pleasant window into our subject. Bright or hard transitions draw the eye and make the viewer uneasy. Next is stress on symbolic form. The simplest way I can say this is that each element of your painting can be simple, and you don't have to add every detail to get your thought across to the viewer. Squint your eyes and paint what you see, this will keep out unnecessary detail. The next idea is depiction of atmosphere or the unseen air. Keeping the edges soft can create this feeling. Remember, items farther away will become simple with less detail. Next is a sense of movement or metamorphosis in nature, the vibration and refraction of tones. Now you can create this by using complementary colors, one on top of the other. An example would be a gray-green with a soft pink, a complementary color to each other. Here are the basic complementary colors. Red and green, yellow and purple, orange and blue. Next, the use of expressive paint handling to embody emotion or mimic nature. You just need to loosen up your brushwork. This will create harmony and movement, but also creates interest. Please go back through the paintings in the video to understand these concepts. Next is to embedded patterns and the decorative deployment of natural and abstract forms. If you notice in the tonalist works, you can see places where there are abstract passages that is not clearly painted, but our eyes fill in the detail. We see the building in this painting, but take a closer look at the detail of the building. Use soft-edged forms to further the sense of ambiguity and mystery of place, known as lost edge technique, producing an immediacy of emotional response to paintings, especially at a distance. Next is the portrayal of a mystical organic relationship between perceiver and the perceived. When you paint, be the creator, but also stand back and become the viewer and see what they may see. This may change your painting. Art is about the feeling or mood evoked by the arrangement of elements or the lack of to project an emotion, rather than a realistic or representational depiction of a certain place. If you notice in some of the tonalist works, there is not a lot of detail, but we can still see and feel the landscape or what is painted. One last thing, I did not forget the master teacher I told you about early in the video. His name is M. Francis McCarthy, and I'll put the link to his channel in the descriptions. If you want more feeling in your work, no matter what you paint, he is the one to learn it from. Be kind to each other and thanks for watching.